SummerSlam was the first pay-per-view of the Paul Levesque era, even though it's kind of a leftover remnant of the Vince McMahon era. It was largely his show that he had already booked. But it was the first pay-per-view, the first SummerSlam under the Triple H regime, and as it was announced on Monday morning that he is taking over for Vince McMahon as the head of creative for WWE, completing a story arc that took him and his wife from seemingly the heir apparents to the throne for so many years. It was just assumed that one day Triple H and Stephanie would be the ones to take over, to losing power after Triple H almost died of heart failure last year, and his wife then months later announced that she was going to be taking a leave of absence from the company and stepping away. And certain people in the company buried her on the way out in that Business Insider article. We went from that only a matter of weeks ago to someone leaking news of the board of directors investigation into Vince McMahon to the Wall Street Journal, and him resigning from the company, with Stephanie now being named the co-CEO and her husband now being named the head of creative. Right in the spot that everyone expected him to be in whenever the day came that Vince McMahon was gone. And he is also heading up talent relations for the time being. Just before all of this, he was reinstalled in that position. I would think that they would want to get somebody new in there soon, because that's a lot of responsibility for somebody who almost died less than a year ago. And also being the head of creative and the head of talent relations at the same time, it's like, your boss also being the head of human resources. Makes it potentially very awkward, I think, for the talent. So I don't think he'll be in that position in the long term. But Raw on Monday night was from Madison Square Garden, largely the same show that it's been for years. It had a pretty good first hour before it fell off in the second and third hours. But the show was already written by Vince McMahon before he resigned, and I did not expect there to be major changes that quickly. I mean, the guy took over as the head of creative literally that same morning. So the pay-per-view card that Vince had already booked is now over. What happens from here on out falls on Triple H, and it's going to take time before we can really judge, I think, how he is doing in the role. But the Click takeover is now complete. You got Triple H running Raw and SmackDown. Shawn Michaels is running things in NXT. But this is all great news if you are a fan of NXT, or if you are an NXT talent, and we kind of already saw that last night with Dakota Kai and Io Shirai being called up. But if you are an NXT talent, this is all great news, because now the right foot should be able to know what the left foot is doing, hopefully. Vince McMahon did not pay attention to NXT. Vince McMahon did not watch NXT, nor did he, and I don't care what anybody said. Oh, Vince paid attention. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not pay any attention to NXT. He did not give a shit about NXT. Nor did he care what you were doing in NXT before they called you up. Hopefully now we'll see less of that sort of thing. When someone finds something that works for them in NXT, they should be given a chance to make it work on the main roster. They should not be stripped of everything that made them who they are. Just look at Walter. They've done right by him so far on the main roster. So many people they have not done that with. With him they have, and it's working. It's working. Yes, they changed his name and they changed his music. And I wish, especially the music, I wish they didn't change his music, because his music now sucks. But that's less important than what he is actually doing on television, how he is being presented. Largely, they've kept that intact. And I do think he's doing well, and I think he'll do even better now. And this guy, a year from now, should be a main event player in this company. He should go on to be a world beater in this company. But these people should not be stripped of everything that made them who they are. They also should have more time to get themselves over. Under Vince McMahon, if he didn't get you, if he didn't like you, if he didn't like the way you looked or like the way that you talked, you had a very short leash. And you were not going to have much time before they cut you off, and they cut your legs off and they make you crawl, right? And then when you can't get over the line fast enough, he would say, well, you're too slow, and he would move on from you. Other times, people would be called up without any sort of real plan, or they would make a few appearances and then disappear, never to be seen again. Look what happened to Xia Li on SmackDown. What's she been up to? And she's hardly the only example of this. So if you are in developmental watching all of this unfold, I said it the other night, they should all be popping bottles at the PC that Vince McMahon is gone and Triple H now is in charge. That does not mean that everyone who gets called up is going to be a success story. Not every baseball player who gets called up from the minor leagues is going to make it to the majors. Or when they get to the majors, are going to make it and become a big star. That's not how it works. But at least they're given a chance to show what they can do before they get sent back down. So this is the best possible news for the NXT brand. Having said that, this does not mean that NXT is reverting back to the black and gold. I know that Meltzer and The Observer had a note that the belief inside of NXT is that the product will revert back somewhat to Triple H's previous vision of it. People should not read that and think that 2.0 is going away. And it's back to the way it was before. The black and gold is back. The black and gold is not back. The black and gold is dead. I read that more as a hope from the people who work there, that they will focus on a mix of more experienced talent and the younger people that they've been pushing because they wanted to get away from drafting indie talent. That was not practical because you need to have people like that who already have some level of experience who can work with the younger talents. Roderick Strong and Cameron Grimes, they're basically the only two still down there who really fit that bill. Everybody else has been cleaned out. They should have more of a mix of both. They could have done that before without blowing the whole fucking thing up. So I think we're going to see a shift back to bringing in more people from the indies, bringing in more people, or being open to bringing in more people with experience. Apparently the most recent Next in Line, they have these Next in Line tryouts, saw a lot of people get hurt. It was a disaster when it came to injuries. This is according to Brian Alvarez. So they're not giving up on recruiting college athletes, nor should they, but they recognize hopefully there is a need for more experienced talent. I told you when this was first announced a few months ago, that stupid edict. No more indies. We're only going to go with college athletes and people who have no experience doing this whatsoever. I said it back then. It was only a matter of time before they went back on their word. Here we are. As soon as I heard about that stupid edict, I knew it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of months before they went right back to the way things were before. Triple H held a meeting with talent before Raw on Monday. There was said to be a lot of optimism, and he promised the talent more transparency than under the previous administration. Said that he wants the lines of communication to be open between talent and himself, and that he wants working for WWE to be fun for everyone. So people are excited. People in the company are excited. People outside the company are excited. I'm already seeing messages from people, even in the live chat last night. And some of the super chats. I've gotten emails about this. I haven't watched WWE in 4 years. I haven't watched WWE in 2 years. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to tune into Raw tonight. We're going to see how it is. I don't know how long these people are going to last. Maybe these changes don't happen quick enough for them, but they're actually willing to give WWE a chance after giving up on them because they're excited to see how different things are going to be. I'm one of those people who's very excited now for the future. I'm excited that there is finally the potential for real change in this company. Maybe a year from now, I'm sitting right here on episode, 803 or something, and I'm complaining about the same fucking problems. But this is the first time where I feel like there is a chance that may not be the case. Where is this company going to be? What is SummerSlam 2023 going to look like when we're sitting here in a year watching that pay-per-view? That's what I'm excited to think about. What does that look like? What does WrestleMania next year look like? There's going to be a honeymoon period for Triple H, just as there was for Tony Khan when AEW first started. I was a big fan of Triple H's vision for the black and gold, which at one time was the best content being put out by WWE. The people on Reddit, they even pitched in to buy him a fruit basket after one of the takeover shows. They had it delivered to him at Titan Tower. If he can bring even a fraction of the energy and the passion of those takeover shows to the main roster, it can make these shows more fun to follow than they have been in years. And even though he may not have the power and the authority to take Raw back to 2 hours again, which we know he would love to do because he said as much to Steve Austin back in 2015, That may not be his call to make, but maybe he could help make those 3 hours every Monday a little more tolerable. You know, it's not surprising to me. Fightful had a report about Vince McMahon this week, and in the report, one of the things that their sources cited as far as the creative process under Vince McMahon, and one of the things that was really very frustrating to people, is that he tended to not remember some of the things that he had done creatively in the past, which would then lead to them being done over and over and over again. So in some cases, he just genuinely didn't remember doing them before. So when I make the comment, oh, it feels like Groundhog Day, I've said that a whole bunch of times. I'm watching a match or a segment on these shows, I feel like I'm in the middle of Groundhog Day. Well, now we know why that may be. Because he genuinely may not remember that he is doing the same shit over and over and over again. One of the things I will not miss. There are a lot of changes I would like to see. We saw a little bit of that already at Summerslam with the new faces that were added to the Raw Women's division. I would like to see more fresh matches. I would like to see fewer rematches. I would like to see more of an emphasis on tag teams. I would like to see a loosening of the handcuffs more on promos and on commentary. Michael Cole was noticeably more enjoyable and animated on last night's show. He even reacted to Corey Graves last night, where Graves said that, I liked you better when you couldn't express your opinions. And Cole reacted by saying, well, things have changed. You just know that he is loving his job a little bit more now than he was 2 weeks ago. I would like to see the end of the 24/7 title, which has outlived its usefulness. This is non-negotiable. That has to be burned and disposed of and never to be seen again. I don't give a fuck if somebody wants to melt it down into a chain around their neck, like Kama, and what he did with the Undertaker's urn, as long as they get rid of it. I'd like to see the reintroduction of the King of the Ring as an annual gimmick that actually carries some real importance and has something on the line. I'd like to see the first main roster War Games match. The idea that I had pitched over a decade ago on this show, I feel the same way now that I did about it back then. Make it an annual staple of Survivor Series. Instead of doing Raw versus SmackDown the exact way that they do it now, you have a Raw team made up of 5 men, you have a SmackDown team made up of 5 men. The winning team, they don't just get bragging rights. There's something else on the line. Draft picks, more spots in the Royal Rumble match for the winning brand. Whatever it may be. There's at least half a dozen different things you could do. But those are just some of the ideas. Production-wise, I would like to watch the shows and not be nauseated by all of the camera cuts, which were still in full effect last night. Camera cuts, the camera bobbing up and down, like I'm on the high seas chasing after Moby Dick. A little more creativity when it comes to the event sets for some of these shows, other than WrestleMania. We all have our lists of what we would like to see. The most important thing, though, are more new faces and more compelling stories. It is not just about the product in the ring. It is not how long a match is. It's not how many fucking destroyers that you can do. Give me stories that I can invest in with talent that I actually want to see more of. It is what every major boom period in this company's history has given us. The golden era gave us these larger-than-life stars and compelling stories. When I was younger, it was the explosion of the mega powers. That was a long-term story that played out over the course of a year and a half. Jake the Snake going medieval on the Macho Man and his wife. I mean, in the Attitude Era, it was Austin versus McMahon. It was Rock and Mankind, 2 total opposites who brought the best out of each other. Their empty arena match still makes me laugh every time I go back and watch it. And they were even better together as partners later on. You've heard the expression, opposites attract. That was true of them. That's what made the feud in NXT last year work with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes. That helped make that feud work so well. Look at every successful period in history. It came down to the stories even more than the matches themselves. The matches are the easy part. You don't need a creative team to put together a great wrestling match. The wrestlers put on great wrestling matches. They can do that in their sleep. We're getting more, as far as in-ring is concerned, we get more great wrestling now than we probably ever have in our fucking lives. That's not the hard part. That's the easy part. It's backing the talent up with good creative. That's been the challenge for this company for so long. Bruce Pritchard is sticking around for now. He'll be reporting to Triple H instead of Vince. Instead of carrying out Vince's vision, he'll have to carry out Triple H's vision for where he wants to go. Paul Heyman is under contract with WWE. He is at television every week. I think Triple H would be wise at some point to lean on Heyman for support and take advantage of what they have in him. He was asked about Paul Heyman actually at one of the media events in Nashville the other day before SummerSlam. What about Paul Heyman? And, is he going to be part of the creative team? Is he going to be part of the creative process? And Triple H, kind of gave a non-answer. And I understand that because, he just took the job. I think he wants to put forth his vision. He doesn't want to just immediately pull in a Paul Heyman or somebody else and say, here, I need your help. I want you to help me with this. He wants to do this himself. This is what he's been waiting for years. He's not going to hand this off to somebody else right away, but I think over time, he's going to need that extra support. And I think Paul Heyman he's right there. I mean, come on. He's right there. He's got to be somebody who, and I'm sure he would, I would think he would want to contribute. He took the job as the executive director of Raw a couple of years ago. So he still wants to be involved in that process. I think he's somebody that he could definitely lean on for support. Kevin Dunn, it's been said for years, is no favorite of Triple H and Stephanie. Triple H was answering a question the other day from a reporter about taking over, and he talked about this being a team effort, and he mentioned Kevin Dunn by name as being part of that team. Which he is. I don't know why some people would think that means that Kevin Dunn's job is safe. Is Kevin Dunn not part of the team right now? Triple H didn't say anything that was untrue. As of this moment, yes, he is part of the team. That doesn't mean he will be a year from now. We talk about Vince McMahon being 77 years old and getting somebody younger in there with a fresh vision. You can say the same thing for Kevin Dunn. He carries a great deal of power in that company. And in time, he too will be gone. Like bad milk, he is long past his expiration date. These moves are not going to happen overnight. We have to give it time. As important a job as he has, it's not going to be a quick thing to replace him. But change is here, and for the first time in a very long time, I am hopeful that I can get my hopes up for the future without winding up being disappointed.